Are you ready?
Join on the corner where the big boys play.
Let's start. How is it going, you beautiful people out in the interweb? Kevin Colby here for another edition of Ask StreamYard, or as we say, hashtag Ask StreamYard. And that's because if you ever have a question that you would like us to tackle on the show, maybe something like you've wondered about, something maybe you would think, I think other people might wonder about this too. Use the hashtag Ask StreamYard. So you can post it on the Facebook community. And by the way, if you're not involved in the Facebook community, you should be. It's a great place just to learn and connect. But wherever you are on social media, if you have a question that you would like considered on the show, use hashtag Ask StreamYard. And if we use your question, you're going to get some cool StreamYard swag, like maybe a t-shirt, just like this one, not mine. But again, my name is Kevin Colby, and let me know where you are watching from today. If you've ever seen one of these shows when I host it, one of the things I love about live streaming and YouTube and the interweb, as I call it, is that you can connect with people all over the place. Like, I saw somebody in here earlier from Jamaica. That's pretty cool. Kenya. We got Kenya in the house. Who else we got? Where did I see? Nairobi, for example, which is, I realize is in Kenya. Who else we got in here? We got, we got Seattle in the house. Wow, they're coming in so fast, I can't keep up with them. We got Ontario, Canada, hot and humid Kansas. Turn that air on. Did I say Alabama? We got Alabama in the house. Brazil. Seattle. Go Hawks. I'm a Saints fan, but I love Russell. Northern California. We got a lot of people. I'm watching from my beach chair in Puerto Rico. Way to rub it in. Wherever you are from, we are so glad you are here today. So, what are we talking about today? Today's topic is shorter versus longer live streams and which is better. So, I'm going to give you the answer right now. It doesn't matter. No, I'm just joking. I actually sent Christian a message last night, and I said, I'm going to do a fake ending. Don't freak out. No, we're gonna talk a lot about today about the advantages and disadvantages of long and short in terms of your audience and some tips and some things to think about. So I don't want this just to be like a what Kevin thinks and then you go away. But I will tell you that the answer is kind of it depends. It just depends. Now, I can tell you if I remember this and if it matters, I'll tell you my personal preference at the end. But this is my personal preference. So that is what we are talking about today. If you have any questions regarding this topic today, put a Q in front of your question and then ask it. And that way, as I'm kind of going back through, it's going to be easier to look it up. All right. But yeah, so today we are talking about shorter versus longer live streams, which is better. Now, we don't have a specific question from the community for this, but it's one that we see come up a lot, that people ask this question about, well, should I go long or should I go short? And I think that's a good question, and it's always something to think about. And we're gonna get into dive into some more points here. So let me know in the comments though, if you live stream, what is your preference? Like, do you like watching shorter live streams? Do you like watching longer? So I would just like to know, just see, because, again, I think we're all different. And I think it also depends on what we're watching, the device. If I'm on my phone, it's a lot different than if I'm on my laptop or my desktop. I just watched one the other day that probably in total it was a little over an hour, but I consumed it over probably 3 sittings, right? I didn't even see it live, didn't even know it was on live. So there is a difference. So just think about that. So, but let's dive into it. And again, what we're talking about today is shorter versus longer live streams, which is better. Now, I do want to mention one thing, though, before we keep going. And have you signed up for the StreamYard Level Up Summit? It's happening tomorrow. Well, of course, I'm saying tomorrow because I'm in the States. So it may already be tomorrow for you. But if you want to RSVP, just go to StreamYard.com/SY level up. And you could probably Google that if you forget it, but that would be something to think about. So somebody's saying 4 hours live streams are too long. Depends. Somebody says, I like hanging out and we'll live stream her up 2 to 4 hours. Somebody else saying, I think shorter is better, but complicated to manage. And also, let me pop this in because Christian's popped this up. That's the link that you need to go to RSVP to, wait for it, what we were just talking about, the Level Up Summit. So if you want to go to that, sign up for that. And I think you'll get a lot out of this. Let me go back to this. Some people saying they do 4 hours. They like short. So it's a little all over the place, and that's cool. So let's get into the topic about shorter versus longer, which is better. Now, some of the things I'm going to share with you, you're going to see it. There's a lot of it depends, but let's start with this. Before you go live, you need to think about your audience. Your audience. What do I mean by that? So when you're doing a live stream, think about it before you ever hit live, as you're planning it, right? Think about, are you doing it for the live or are you doing it for the replay? Which is the beauty, especially on YouTube. I mean, let's just be honest. It's hard. It's hard to find past live streams on LinkedIn. Facebook is a little less difficult, if you will, especially if you're in a group. You can go to events and things like that, or on your page if you live stream to your page. YouTube is phenomenal because YouTube is a search engine. That's what YouTube is. So, like this one we titled on purpose so you can go back and find it later, even if you're searching on YouTube and you're not on the StreamYard channel. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the StreamYard channel right now, just do it. Just hit subscribe, hit like on this, and make sure that you get all the updates that we talk about, all the tips and things like that about live streaming. But if you think about your audience as you're putting together your live stream, that will determine it. So, like, for example, let's say you're just doing a live Q&A and you want to just be able to take a bunch of questions. You've set aside a chunk of time and it's live. So, let me back up a second. So one of the advantages to live, and again, this is more, I think, on YouTube than any other platform. It's why I love YouTube. It's why YouTube is so dominant, is because you get the live advantage and then you get the playback advantage. So when this show is over, it'll live on the StreamYard channel. It'll live on YouTube and it can become evergreen content, right? So that is an advantage. But as you're producing your live show, as you're getting ready, think about the audience you want to talk to, because that may determine how long you go. It may determine how you interact with the audience. It may determine if you're even going to edit it after. Now, I don't know that everybody knows this, but you can, and if you don't, consider it a bonus tip. When you do a live stream on YouTube, and I know you can do this a little bit on Facebook, but let's just talk about YouTube for a second. When you do a live stream on YouTube, you have the ability, when it's over, to go in and edit it. And I've done this before on my own channel, where I interviewed somebody and on the replay, I waited 24 hours, and there's a reason you want to do that, because otherwise it can mess with your clip. But if you wait like 24 hours, it processes. I went in and I just cut off like 5 minutes of just kind of filler for the live, and just got right to it with my guest. And I think I even trimmed the end. So you can do that. So again, if you know, I know a creator, and he does that. He does all of his lives, does all of his videos live, and then he goes back later and trims it up. So he'll talk to the audience, but he's really kind of producing it more for produced. So you think about that. Yeah, I was just checking in here between the points. So I would always recommend that before you go live, you think of your audience, and you think of how you want to engage, and you let that be one of the factors in determining how long you go. Because, it could be that you are doing a tutorial and you're not getting a lot of comments and engagements live, but you might get them later. So like, for example, if you're watching this live, thanks, say hi in the comments. But if you watch this on the replay, make sure you let us know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions there, because we go back and we read those comments and we respond to them. So something else to think about that will determine for you whether shorter or longer is better is the topic. The topic. My bad. My apologies. I muted my mic to cough. So sorry about that. I am back. You hear me? You hear me? You hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Audio should be back. Audio should be back. Oh, there we go. There we go. Another advantage of live, and we can trim that out later. All right. So I don't know how much of that you missed, but let me go back to the point. I just want to make sure, because I think this is an important one, is to consider the topic simple versus complex. So sorry about the audio. But now, I am a professional and I make mistakes. But let's say, for example, you have a cooking channel. This is what I was saying. Oh, it's so good. Now I'm really hungry. So let's say you have a cooking channel and you're going to do a live stream on how to grill a steak on a stovetop. Well, you may want to take some time to get into the live stream, to go over the ingredients, to show how to cook it, and maybe even some sides. And what I was saying, I was joking about, I remember in the old days of television when they say, hey, we're going to pop it in the oven. Oh, and look, it's right here. It's a standby to kind of collapse the time. That might be a type show that you want to take longer for. But other topics may not need a long live stream. Now, do you have to produce everything? No. So for example, I saw somebody the other day, I'm not going to say who it is, but it surprised me as a big creator, where their topic was, should you live stream in 4K? Now, by the way, the answer is no. There's a lot of reasons why I would say no, but that's not the topic of today. Should you live stream in 4K? Their live stream was over an hour. I would say that topic is too simple for an hour live stream. Well, Kevin, what if they got a lot of engagement? But there's a point where you risk losing your audience. If you just go on and on and on and on, we believe, now there are some exceptions, and we're going to talk about some exceptions in just a second. There are some times, though, where we feel like everybody's just hanging on everything we say. Like, for example, if I looked a second ago, I would have realized, oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize my mic was muted. But we think everybody's just hanging on everything we say, but in reality, people come and go, come and go, come and go. So that's why I think your topic should drive how long your live stream is if it's a tutorial, if it's a how-to, how long do you really need to get through that? And are you going to take questions in the middle of it or at the end? That can determine. But if it's like a one topic, like if I were going to do a live stream on, I don't know, how to export a video from Final Cut. I edit on Final Cut. Guys, that doesn't need to be a 30-minute live stream. Now, the advantage of doing a shorter live stream is that I kind of do it, it's produced and it's done, and I get the live hit and I get the replay hit. So I think it is really, really important to, I think it's really important just to consider your topic. So I saw a question pop up. If you have a question about today, so let me see, Eduardo's saying, okay, so this is actually a good question. It has to do a little bit. So Eduardo's saying, I already did 30 minutes, 1, 2, 3, even 5-hour live shows on YouTube and Facebook. What analytics should I check to measure success? So you can go into your YouTube analytics and you can look at live analytics, just like produced, as they call them, uploaded. I think that's how YouTube calls it. If you ever look in your analytics and you're looking at your video, there's a tab you can look at that says type. And there's really only 2 types of video. And this actually goes for anybody. There's produced and there's live. And I think YouTube calls it uploaded, but you can dive in and it'll show you a graph and it'll show your watch time and stuff like that. And you can see that. You can also see how long they watched and engagement as well. Now, keep in mind, you can always download your live stream. So this is a bonus tip. You can download your live stream when you're done, and StreamYard makes it so easy. So easy. You go to past broadcast and you download it. You have 15 days, so don't sit on it. And then you can chop that up. So you could do a long live stream and then chop it up for other content, maybe shorts or shorter content. And that doesn't even have to be on YouTube, but it could be. Let me see if there were any other questions that came in. Somebody's saying I find 4K topic easy to talk to for an hour. Right. What I was talking about, though, is they were talking about live streaming in 4K. There are topics that you can talk about a long time, but it always goes back to think of your audience. Think of your audience. I mean, you've probably seen these surveys out there that people will say, what could you talk about for 1 hour without notes, without any preparation? And I can list off several things right now. Would the talks be good? I don't know, but I could do that. But if we think about our audience first and what value we're bringing, what we're teaching, what we're sharing, we may not need to talk that long. And again, do you risk losing people? Like the gentleman that asked, go in and look at your analytics. I am going to pop this one up. It's close. So Francine is saying, in my opinion, what is more important, views or engagement? Well, that's a great question, and I kind of see them as the same. Believe it or not, the least most important metric you have, and this is a tough one, are your subscribers. Now, there are milestones with your subscribers where you'll get things like at 100 and 1,000 and 10,000 and 100,000 and 1 million. But even YouTube will say they're more vanity metrics. Views are important because views show that somebody watched it, but then you dive into it and probably even within the view and the engagement is how long did they watch? When are they dumping out and things like that? If you're producing videos or live streams and you're not getting any views and you're not getting any engagement, it's not YouTube. Just take a deeper dive into your content, how you're putting it together. But that was a really good question. Really, really good question. Something else to consider is long may be best. And there are some exceptions. There's some exceptions. Oh, I want to go back to the topic about consider the one we were just kind of wrapping up there. is what my tip would be this. Think about this. This is how simple topics probably make for shorter videos. Does that make sense? So if you have a simple topic, something that you can teach in a short period of time, I don't know that warrants a long live stream. Now that's up to you. I'm giving you my thoughts, right? Now, could you combine it with other things? Absolutely. A mistake I've made before is trying to teach too much. I did that once on a live stream I did with about Canva. Rather than going in and teaching one specific thing, like I did one recently, I showed how I made a thumbnail and I deconstructed it. But the first one I ever did, I got in and I showed this on Canva and this on Canva and this on Canva and this on Canva, and it was just too much. It was just too much. And guess what? My engagement just sucked. But so that's an example of I didn't think through the topic. So longer may be best, and what are some of the exceptions? Now, these are some of the exceptions that I can think of where longer live streams would probably be better. Church services. Now, where I go, we've been online since the pandemic started. I mean, 1 week it may be 40 minutes, 1 week it may be 52 minutes, 1 week it may be 30 minutes. We like those. But then they'll even take out and spin out the message and the music and stuff like that. Virtual events, which, by the way, it's a nice plug for Level Up Summit. Remember to RSVP to that if you haven't. I'm gun shy now on muting my mic. Hang on. That's what I was trying to do a second ago. But virtual events where it may be there's a friend of mine, and he's actually done some videos on the StreamYard channel, Eddie Garrison, and he's done a virtual event for the last 2 or 3 years. I've had the pleasure of speaking at it, and his event will be 8 hours. Now, it's not 8 hours on one topic; it's 8 hours of different speakers, right? So, and he uses StreamYard, and StreamYard is so good for that because it's so easy to bring guests in. But virtual events might be another exception. Another one would be gaming. Now, I'm I'm going to be honest, and I hope I don't hurt your feelings on this one, because I love you, but I don't game like I used to. I love it now. My gaming now is occasionally Mario and Sonic. We got the new Nintendo Switch, and I'm kind of geeking out on the retro Sonic stuff. But as much as I would love to game, and again, guys, this is me. Ain't no way I'm going to sit there and watch somebody else game at all. And I personally don't care for the videos where it's like, hey, I'm going to show you how to grow on YouTube, and the guy's just gaming the whole time while he's talking to you. Now, I realize there is a billion dollar business all around gaming. And you know what? Good for those guys. But I don't get it, and I don't watch it. But if you are into gaming, or you're starting gaming and you're going to live stream that, which you can do on YouTube, you can do on Twitch. I know Facebook is getting into gaming, or not getting into, they've been doing gaming. That, longer might be better. Another one is news, breaking news. Again, especially if it's breaking news, I mean, like real breaking news, not when the local news says, hey, breaking news, and it happened like earlier in the day. That's not breaking news, but I'm talking about like more like, things that are really newsworthy. I mean, maybe even current, if it's something that people need to know, and it may not even be life threatening, but especially those, I mean, time goes out the window. Longer may be better. And another one is interviews. And I want to talk a little bit about interviews here. So if you have an interview channel, if you like to do video podcast, which I would highly recommend, if you do podcasting, think about adding video to it. If you haven't started, think about doing a video podcast. It's a whole different reason for that. That's a different show. But let's say you do podcasts. Let's say you do interviews on your YouTube channel, or you do an interview show on whatever channel you're on. I mean, this could be LinkedIn, Facebook, or multi-streaming, right? Chances are chances are you've reached out to somebody, whether they have, they're a celebrity or they're have amazing expertise in this area, and you want to talk to them, right? You want to invite them to share with your community their expertise or whatever. I mean, I've talked to so many people over the years. I love that, and I love doing it, and I'm more targeted with it. I've done some live to tape, and I've done some live, but chances are, the interviews will probably be longer. Now there's some exceptions. I was a part of a conference a couple of years ago, and Mark Cuban agreed to be the keynote, and he evidently gave him 15 minutes, and they pre-recorded it. But I got to tell you, it was, and they rolled it in. They rolled it in as part of the live streaming, the live event. I got to tell you, it was a powerful 15 minutes. So, but if you have a guest and they're talking about whatever topic, and they're giving you the time, interviews might go longer. It might go longer. Now, here's a bonus tip. And if you haven't been keeping up with some of the things YouTube is rolling out, and this really only applies to YouTube, but you need to be on YouTube if you're not on YouTube. Doesn't mean you can't be on Facebook and on the other platforms, but YouTube is the platform. YouTube is really getting more and more into chapters. And I don't know if you've seen this, but on videos, you can, let's say you're doing a tutorial. Let's go back to the cooking the steak. You know what I'm going to have for lunch, right? So let's say, you want to add like a chapter about the ingredients. And then you want to add a chapter about how to prep the stove, and then a chapter about how to cook the steak, and then a chapter about, how to tell if it's done, and then a chapter about, and these are points in the video, even the live stream. These are points in the video where you can add to your description, and YouTube will add chapter markers. Now, they're rolling out a thing where they will give, they won't do it for every channel yet. I have it on mine where it will automatically add them if it sees that there's chapters in there. I add my own. Why is that great? Because they show up in search. That's why sometimes if you're on Google and you're searching something, you would see it pop up. Yeah, Nicholas is saying chapters as time marking for easy navigation. That is true. That's exactly right. So it's like we could go back and add chapters to this live stream when it's over. Think about that. Each one of these points I'm making could be a chapter. So that's a tip when it's over. And I think this applies to produce video as well. But just think about that. When you're producing your live stream, could you do it to a church service? Absolutely. Virtual event? Absolutely. Gaming? Don't know. Interviews? Absolutely. I tell you, when they introduce chapters, and chapters have been around a while, they're just getting more into it. YouTube is. I go back, and anytime I do an interview, I will go back and add chapters just so it's easier. If somebody's looking at the interview and I'm talking to somebody about live streaming and they talk about gear, I'll click on that and it'll take you to that point. So that's a bonus tip. That is a bonus tip. And again, what we're talking about today is shorter versus longer live streams, which is better. All right, I'm going to jump in the comments here and just see if there's anything, because I want to share 3 tips with you. Sandra's saying she makes chapters manually and hope automation is coming. Yeah, it's here. They're just rolling it out slow. It is time consuming, but I think it's worth it. I really do think it's worth it. Trying to see if there's anything here I missed. All right, so I want to give you 3 tips, because I think that's only fair, right? 3 tips for live streaming. What I'll call my best tips. And it's what we've talked about. Excuse me. Keep your audience in mind. It doesn't matter about how good your production is and all the cool bills, and even like, wow, I really like Kevin's graphics. Keep the audience in mind. It's about you. It's about giving you information. It's about helping you with something. Now, I can't please everybody, but I can keep the audience in mind. Plan your stream in advance. Are there exceptions to that? Yeah, I mean, I've gone live on Facebook before just to have fun on my profile. And hey, I thought I'd do a little update and, here's some news on my son or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you do live streams where you really want the engagement. You really want to deliver some value and some things like that. Plan it in advance. Like if you could see right now, when Christian and I plan this out, then I go back and I start making my notes, and I have notes and bullet points, not scripts and bullet points I go to. So I I know how I want to start and go through it. So plan your show out. Now, a church service would plan theirs out. A virtual event would plan theirs out. Interview, you could do that. But even if you were doing something that's not a how-to, but it's more of just like, a rant or whatever it is on something, plan it out. How are you going to get into it? How are you gonna get out of it and things like that? And then treat it like any other video. What the heck does that mean? That means promote it in advance, schedule it. Now, every platform is a little different. I think YouTube, you can schedule, I want to say it's 28 days out, maybe 30. Facebook is a week, I think. LinkedIn, I'm not sure. But you want to promote it, but you also want to think about your title and your thumbnail as well. Now, I realize there's a lot of folks that just do live Q&As. And I'm going to tell you, I think if you have a smaller audience, and I do agree with Cody Wayner, there is no small creator. If you're doing video that pops up in search and I'm interested in, I don't care how many subscribers you have. Just don't. If it helps me at that moment, I'm in. I may not subscribe, but I'm in. But, if you're just doing a live show and it goes, live with Kevin every week, ain't nobody searching for that. Nobody's looking for that. Even my mama wouldn't want to watch that. And I know, well, she doesn't have the internet, but if she did, she wouldn't want to watch it. And I'm her son. So think about your title. Like the title of this one is short live streams versus long stream, which is better. We thought about that. And then let's say every week you just do a cooking tutorial. Well, one week, make it about something, like we're going to look at the best pans to grill on or something like that, and then the thumbnail, because again, you want to stand out. Now, YouTube is changing things as we're going. And by the way, when I live stream and I multi-stream, I create a thumbnail and I use the exact same thumbnail on every platform. So if I'm live streaming to Facebook, it's the same thumbnail. If I'm live streaming to LinkedIn, it's the same thumbnail because I want consistency. But that's why I think it's very important to treat it like any other video. So keep your audience in mind, plan your stream in advance, and treat it like any other video. Because even though it's live, again, on YouTube, well, the other ones, even unless you're going to delete them, you get the replay. So I told you at the beginning, in case you care, I told you at the beginning that I would give you my thought. I personally think that sometimes live streams go too long. Now, I realize today we've already gone a half hour, and there are certain platforms that research out there. They'll say, well, at certain times people come in and I do know of some other pros out there that will pad out their show waiting for people, you don't know it, to get there. Again, guys, this is Kevin, right? I think that's almost being disingenuous to your audience. I think if you're going to go live at 11 o'clock, show up at 11 o'clock, maybe 11:01, but show up at 11 o'clock, right? And get into it and get going, or get into it going, I'm going to go live at whatever time, and I'm going to respect whoever's there, even if there's nobody there. Even if there's nobody there, always live stream like there's somebody there, because that way it's going to keep you on your game. You keep talking. Yeah, it's frustrating, but you know what? The more you do it, they'll come. Kind of like the Field of Dreams. If you stream it, they will come. I made that up. That was free. So, but I personally will not watch a long live stream unless it is in depth, in detail into something that I really know. And guess what? That's where the chapters, the one I just finished this morning, I told you about earlier today, It's a little over an hour. It was a topic I was interested in, but the chapters is what saved me. I jumped and I listened and watched, and then I was done. And when they got to the end of the show, I didn't really care what they were talking about. I was done. So that's what I would recommend. But you may say, I want a longer live stream. This is where I do think, and again, this is my personal opinion, my personal professional opinion, and opinion, personal. This is where I do think that longer live streams hurt you, is that I don't know of a lot of people that will go back and watch all of a live stream if it's crazy long and the topic is just too generic. Now, can you skip through it? Like I saw somebody mention a few minutes ago. Yes, you can skip through it and everything like that. And YouTube might, say, okay, they're not interested. But at some point you can scrub through and go. Now, if they're watching a replay, you can watch it faster. That will affect certain time, but you'll still get the credit if that's what you're interested in. But I would just say, just let the topic kind of dictate that. Think about your audience. And then when you live stream, treat it like any other live stream. Hey, I hope you found great value in this. If you did, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and hit like on this. We'd love that. And even when the live stream's over, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll go back and we answer those. Remember, if you have a question you think would be great for the community, hashtag Ask StreamYard. Mel will be here next week with a brand new episode of, ready for it? Ask StreamYard. What do you think I was going to say? Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.